Hi everyone, Mr. Fabio here again. Today I am going to be showing you instructions for lesson 4, finding primary sources. In case you need a refresher on what a primary source is, a primary source is something that was created during the time period which you are studying. So a book written during 1860, and you're studying slavery and the end of slavery, that is a primary source. A newspaper from the time period, a photograph, a map from the time period, a diary entry. These are all primary sources. And these are actually what historians get, this is actually where historians get their information from and draw conclusions from. So today you guys are going to be acting as historians and finding your primary sources and drawing conclusions from those primary sources. We are going to do a shortened version of this lesson, mostly because I can't be there to support you and to help you, and I'm going to show you an alternative. So step number 9 in the instructions will be modified, and I'll show you exactly what we're going to do today. So to help you find primary sources, there is a number of websites that I'm going to give you, but mostly you need to go on to Classroom again. You need to find your class. You will go to, you guessed it, classwork, and then the final inquiry. And again, you're opening the document that you've been working on. So at this point, you should have your question. I think mine's on Jefferson. You should have your 4 questions written here. You should have this fully done and graded with your supporting questions written in these boxes. There should be links and facts paraphrased here in these boxes. And then finally, we're on part D, which is primary sources. I'm just going to enter this down so it's easier for me to work with. And I'm looking for 3, literally just 3 primary sources. Okay. Notice the questions that I'm asking of you to answer. What does this tell you? And why is this important to your research in answering your question? Now, if you give me a picture of, I don't know, if you give me a picture of a gentleman in uniform, and you don't know what side they're on for the war, you don't know if it's just a portrait of a guy in a uniform, you might not be able to tell me a lot about this person. You might have to dive a little deeper, read below the photograph in the sourcing and in the caption, and find your information there. But then again, that information also needs to be paraphrased. And why is this information important to your research? Go back to your original supporting questions. Figure out where that picture might fit in. Go back to your original question. Figure out what this primary source does. What holes does it help you fill? And write there in your own words. You should have a couple sentences in each of these boxes. It should not be very short. It should be long. It should be a description. It should be drawing conclusions and connections. And if you don't think the primary source is important or helps, move on to another primary source. Here in this first box, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, is where you're going to give me the link. If it's an image, you can copy and paste the image. And if it's a quote, again, you're not using quote websites. You are not using quote.com or whatever you kids nowadays use. You are not using these quote websites. You're not using anything that looks like this. Don't even. You're not using Goodreads. Do not use Brainy Quotes. Do not use Good House. Do not. Quotes come from primary source documents, and instead of citing the whole document, you can cite a section of the document, which I'll give you guys an example. So my topic is on Thomas Jefferson. And I'm going to show you guys real quick the document that's going to have all of the websites listed your parents are going to get a hold of. And also these websites will be located in Google Classroom. It's in my drive, so the websites that you're going to get, your parents are going to get this document, and the websites you're going to get will be listed on the second page here. So the following sites I'm going to let you use. You could also use other ones or other reliable websites. Archives.gov, Avalon Law, Yale University, Images. It's actually Life's image search, which is really awesome and easy to use. And then again, the Smithsonian's African American History and Culture Museum, where we've done a lot of work with this website already. So this would be a good choice for you as well. You could also always say, my topic again is Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson on slavery, primary sources, and that might give you something, but you have to read to see if this is a .edu, so it's reliable. This I wouldn't use. This is Library of Congress, I'd use that. You could also use something from these. I clicked on the papers of Thomas Jefferson, .princeton.edu, and here we have all of his writings. Here's one to Abigail Adams. Here is his primary source. So a quote, again, he says, "I like a little rebellion now and then. It's like a storm in the atmosphere. It is wonderful that no letter or paper tells us who." I don't even know. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but say I wanted to cite him here. I would cite him, I would copy and paste. I would put the quote here. It's a little long, it's okay. For now, I would put the link that I got it from here, and I would write, what does this tell us? I like a little rebellion now and then. It is a storm in the atmosphere. It is wonderful that no letter or paper tells us who is president of Congress, though there are letters in Paris to the beginning of January. I suppose I shall hear when I come back from my journey, which will be 8 months after he will have been chosen. So I think what he's talking about here, I'm not sure, so you can go back. I can look at the date. I can look at any background information right here. So here's your background information. This author says, TJ's famous quote, "I like a little rebellion now and then," cannot properly be understood unless taken in the context of his correspondence. So here is some information about Thomas Jefferson. You might not be able to exactly understand this quote unless you read the information given to you by the person who is writing the website. So you're going to have to read into it a little bit. For photographs, we can use some of these websites. Here we'll use this Life. All right, we'll go back to, this isn't where Thomas Jefferson at all lived, but for you guys, 1860s. Here are some great pictures given to us by Life magazine. Again, we are opening it. Group of Union officers in the front of their headquarters as young black boy sits close by during the Civil War. So here's the African American boy, here are the soldiers, this is their headquarters. Okay, I'm curious about where this headquarters is. I'm curious about the little black boy as depicted in the piece here. Maybe it doesn't have a lot of information, so maybe I need to just not use it. Or I might be able to use a tool called Google Image Search. Alright. Looks like that's the only one. But Google Image Search is a tool where you could find like images in Google, and you can find more, you might be able to find more information. This is all in different languages. So this website this is not a good example, but other photographs might work as well. Okay, so that is the time website. And here are your time periods. So we're looking at pretty much everything. You can probably go as far as over to the 1940s and 1950s. 1960s, you have the Civil Rights Movement, but we're looking at over here. Okay, we have the Avalon Project, which is great for documents. Alrighty, we'll look into 19th century documents, and it's in alphabetical order to search for things. You could also search Avalon. Maybe you want to type in the black codes. Documents on slavery. And we have Fugitive Slave Act here. We have Emancipation Proclamation. Couldn't say that right. We have a bunch of documents here. So this is also a good website. But sometimes they're unavailable, and sometimes, oh, criminy. And sometimes they're super long. But again, try to read the first sentence, and if it doesn't have anything that you think is going to be helpful to you, move on. Or sometimes this can give you a lot of information before you actually read the primary source. It's italicized, which means it's not written by the primary source. And, oops, no, that's not right. Sometimes, that's not right, there's no italicized. At the top here, sometimes you'll have some information about the document, but this one doesn't seem to have that, so we'll move on. You could always copy and paste the title into Google and get some information that way. Then you have the National Archives, which is a little tricky to use. I just enter some keywords here. And it gives you everything that is included in with those words. So you'll have to be very specific. You can also modify to documents. You can also, I think you can filter or sort by different time periods and different collections. So this is another tool you can use, but you do need a little playing around. And finally, the last one I'm going to show you, because I'm going to run out of time, is this one, which you've used. And like I said, I really like this. I feel like it's simple and there's a lot of pictures and artifacts. But again, it's up to you if you want to use it. If you need practice with this, I can remember you have to be very specific. If it doesn't work the first time for your keyword, find a different word. You can browse different dates and eras. So 50s, 60s, 80s, 1850s, different types of objects, different, parts of history of the Black Panthers. We have Frederick Douglass. We have a bunch of really awesome topics. And also you have the different places too. Chicago, California, Harlem, Memphis. So this is also a great tool. When you finally find your primary sources, answer these questions. And this will be due, I think I have it due on, what is this due? Friday, April 3rd. So this is due Friday, April 3rd. Thank you. All right, catch you guys later. I hope this was helpful. Bye-bye.